There we are. You know, troubleshooting's a funny thing. I was literally trying to figure out what was wrong um, with my setup, which took me an extra minute. I'm so sorry. I know you guys sit there on bated breath, being like, B, what are you doing? How are we doing? First of all, sound check. Make sure I'm okay. Make sure you guys can hear me okay. It was funny. I was playing piano earlier. Hello, crew. How are you? I hope you're doing well. But it's funny. It is funny that I literally was sitting there trying to figure out what was wrong with it. I'm pulling up boards and I'm figuring out settings. Thank you guys. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong. Like, what is going on? Is the life of my camera done? Does it no longer get recognized? I'm going through and I'm checking this and I'm trying to edit it, and it's just like, no, Bernie, you don't understand. The camera doesn't exist. And I'm like, it exists. I can see it. I'm looking right the fuck at it. And it says, we don't recognize it. And then I realized it was unplugged. It wasn't giving the computer any energy anymore. And all of a sudden, we have a metaphor to start with. Quit giving your energy to shit. Deep breath in and let them commit hara-kiri. Let them do whatever it is that they need to do. Right? Yeah, I'm noticing Sweden. I am also seeing Los Angeles. You know, there are moments to, am I still frozen? I hope I'm not. There are still there are still moments to like back away and unplug it. And there are moments to fight and march. When you can gather and you can get more than a couple of them, you can shut down a freeway. When you say, listen, we're going to do the exact same things you do to us, and it's going to kill our economy in 2 minutes. Kudos to Justin Trudeau basically saying, listen, we're going to do the exact same thing you do to us, and we'll cripple you like you're trying to cripple us. You're an idiot. Basically, the world stage is you're a fool for all of these policies. And he's not a fool, but his policies are a fool, which I know it's kind of the same thing. But by the way, you can still vote. Find somewhere on my page to vote for what astrological chart I'm going to do this upcoming Wednesday. Wednesday, as you know, is going to be the energy report. Tonight, we're going to do some shuffle up and healing. I miss you. We haven't had a chance to do it in a little bit. My priority has to be the energy report, and you guys are going to understand why here in a couple of weeks. But it's a true to form thing. It's so funny, Sam. I was just in your neighborhood with a home party, and I'm like, why haven't these guys called me? Is this something I did? I didn't think so. You guys are busy. You know, when you got teenage boys, they fly all over the place, which, by the way, is something I'm going to say. And by the way, you do know that I am a political agnostic. You guys do get that. You guys do get that I tap into some sort of vein of your anti-disestablishmentarianism when it comes to the conservative party, if you will. But know that I also pull in the common sense aspects that the Democratic Party hasn't done a damn thing since it skated into office under Obama. Like it hasn't earned its keep. And by the way, there is a very important thing going on right now, and that is your sovereignty, you trying to figure out who you are. So as a sovereign fucking freeze frame. And by the way, it is not. I repeat, it is not the service provider. Yeah. Just to let you know. We're learning how to be sovereign. And as the sovereign nation of B, there are several people that you can choose for me to do a chart on. Christy Nome. We have JD Vance. I skipped Elon. I'm actually going to touch on Elon for a different reason. The tech bros are turning on him. And moreover, good. And Canada should, for crying out loud. Right? I mean, it's like, why would you just turn around and say, like, the two most peaceful neighboring countries that you have? And I know we have an immigration problem. Nobody said we didn't. But it's how you do it. It's how you treat people. I'm going to talk about the sovereign nation of B here in a second, but I also want to give you guys a heads up. Those of you in the Capital District, I tease this on my private group, which is going to be changing and evolving itself. But I am going to be drumming again. I'm going to be playing with a pit orchestra for the Lake George High School production of School of Rock. I am going to be there in the pit. You can see me and watch me play and all that other good stuff. It's kind of fun. Not that I am the focus. Those kids are going to put in a lot of good work, but it gives me a chance to be engaged in something for the short term without having to commit something long term. That's why I can't just jump into a band. That's why I've never been able to jump into a band. I've just got too much stuff going on. No, not sovereign citizen. Relax. There's a difference. There's a sovereignty of self. But to be able to play music again, had band practice today, and it was a lot of fun. I had to shake off the cobwebs on my sight reading. And those of you that do sight reading and understand music and musicality know that it is a heck of a time when you're not used to it and your eyes go and you don't want to admit that they're starting to go. It all looks like one big, like, I just hit everything, right? There were a couple of moments like that, and then I had to do one of these, like, oh, that's a rest. I'm so sorry. I was hitting everything. And I remember having a grade school teacher. His name is Mr. Flint, and he was very gay. And he was very awesome to everybody. He was very sensitive. He was very kind. And he was 100% appropriate in who he was and what he was about, but he didn't hide it either. And I look back at him and he was great about it. And my God, I turned into Bob Newhart there for a second, didn't I? He was great, gay, great. He was great. He was he's a very he's human is what he is. But I know that there were two other kids in that class that looked up to him for the reasons that, you know, his lifestyle in a Catholic parochial church, by the way, a church school. Fucking awesome. I love that. I love that dichotomy. When a gay person succeeds in the Catholic Church outwardly and doesn't have to hide who they are. I love that. I think that has a certain courage. And I think there's a real authenticity to that, which brings me to the authenticity of self and being sovereign. And by the way, we are going to get to the cards. Don't you worry, numbskulls. We're going to get there. I do want to do this and make sure that my camera's going to be okay. Where are we at here? Just want to make sure we're pointing in the right direction. Oh, hey, my eyes are up here. Okay. All right, there we go. We're going to do it this way. All right, I think I'm going to be ready to go here. Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to do it this way. There we go. Now we're good. So our sovereignty and the sovereign nation of B. I've seen Pete Hetzig's plan, and I've also seen Project 2025. There is, without a doubt, a need to reinstitute the draft. They will need to reinstitute the draft. The things that they're talking about between the immigration, between taking over Greenland and all their other horse shit, they're just rallying and just swinging the big dick that doesn't need to be, right? I love it. Oh, Bill, we should really make that happen, brother. Gigi, how are you? Kingsley, love a good Catholic story. Oh, it's funny you should say that, buddy. Colleen, Kathy, Debbie, just work on that. Hey, listen, there's a product out there. I'm so glad you're on here. I can't see it. I'll send you a picture of it because I know I've got your stuff. It's a lavalier that hooks right into your phone. You had some great stuff, but it was tough to hear. I love your stuff on your channel, Deb. Like I like the authenticity of it. I love how you roll. Sabrina, good to see you. We get our stuff mixed up, I know. Trish, good to see you. Hattie, Michelle, Julie. Yeah, for sure. And by the way, it was like $28. It took like a week to get here. IMO, I see you. Free speech, will it end in Europe? Well, I'm going to tell you guys, I also had a little bit of a moment about 2 hours ago, and I realized that there have been some serious earthquakes in the Mediterranean. I have reached out to Penny to make sure she's okay. It's the middle of the night there, and she's kind of an early bird. She likes to go to sleep early. I didn't say she was old. You said she was old. So I want to make sure that she's okay. Kind of heavy on the mind. Hooking Good Creations, Tina C. Thank you so. And it is hooking, and she is an avid hooker. Is that? Wait, I get that wrong every time. It's on the up and up, guys. It is on the up. It's crocheting. Thank you very much. Jess, good to see you. Magical Mermaid. Sam, yes, we can connect. Thanks so much, Jess. Again, I see you there. Lily, Janet, good to see you. Love to see you. Sheila, great to have you on as well. Serena, are you on 2 pages here? Here we go. Brenda, good to see you again. Haven't seen you in a little bit. Kat. Oh gosh, for sure. Excuse me. Donna. I kind of got a weird thing. Kay Eric, I see you there. And Michelle, thank you so. Hey, Michelle, I saw you just joined the webpage. Thanks so much. You're going to be getting emails starting tomorrow. And I'm a little bit limited on that, right? Isn't it great to see somebody pick up a guitar after a while or some level of music? Hey, Renee, how are you? Getting caught up. Crocheting is fun. Yeah, it is crocheting. Although the first time I saw her thing, I'm like, really hooking? Like what? What kind of crap are you doing? Hey, Paula, how are you? Tara, how are you? Oh, everybody said the whole gang's here. I'm loving it. So as a sovereign nation and knowing that they're writing checks, Project 2025, aside from the just unchecked aggression of the whole thing, the part that really bothers you is that you don't know how they're going to get there. And by the way, I'm not against some of the principled ideas without going extreme. I don't mind that you would find the center of things, and I don't mind that you want inefficiency with government. I don't think that it's a bad thing to kind of reinvent the wheel a little bit when it comes to the nepotism level that goes into it, right? Hi, Sadie, how are you? But what's bothersome about it is it doesn't really say how. And I've hired a lot of people over the years, and I always read them. I was always reading them. And when I would ask a question about, well, how would you do this for like that's great. You're going to increase efficiency and you're going to make it more increase productivity and efficiency. And then you say, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we're looking for. And then I sit back and I'd say, how? So, because of all the reverse policies and because all of this stuff, is kind of like bombarding. And there's really no way you can man this without some level of draft or incarcerated duties or indentured servant shit. You just can't do it because willingly people aren't going to do half of the crap you're asking them to do. So they're going to turn to the military. They're going to turn towards all sorts of stuff that they're going to want to do. So in light of all of the reversals, of all of the transgender LGBTQ reversals, I just wanted to let everyone know that all three of my sons are gay and cannot serve in the military. Oh, and I've identified. It doesn't matter if they self-identify. I've identified. The girlfriend. Oh, the girlfriend's just whatever. It's cover, dude. It's cover. They're gay. You don't want them in a foxhole. And trust me, the oldest one, I don't think you really want a foxhole with a gun. Just letting you know. He would just be like, "What does this end do?" Anyways, I love him. I love him to death. But by way of proclamation of self-identification, they are ineligible to do any of their bidding. Kind of like a camera unplugged at the top of the hour, huh? It's funny, we now have in our government the grand total of everyone in the cabinet, including the head of the armed forces, has about 2.5 years total. Vance only served under a peaceful time and basically was in Indiana for most of the time. But we got to start smiling about this. We got to get smarter. I mean, we're already good looking. You would not be on this channel if you weren't good looking. Kind of a requirement. That's a Brandon algorithm. If you're not good looking, I don't want you around here, right? Oh my gosh. Would you guys ever tune in to me doing a drum? Just sit here and playing drums for an hour. And not the kit. The kit gets a little loud. My neighbors love me, by the way. They love me. The church next door is kind of like, hey, is that your thing? Because I got a tambourine and boy, do I hit it. Right? But do we also understand, too, why I would say something like that? Right? Do we not understand that there's an absurdity to all of this? That there's a push for absurdity. A push for absurdity. Let's not do that. It's not the best energy. And by the way, your sovereignty is you making your own choices, your own decision, using your own intuition. They cannot take away your intuition, but they can do the things to try and distract you from it. Right? Which way is up? Which way is down? Finbar, you just nailed it. I don't know. Well, Haiti, thank you. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll just turn on the camera, sight unseen, no notice, and I'll just do some drumming so it sits out there. Right? They're doing whatever it is that they want to do, and the courts are slowing them down. But they're going to keep steamrolling it. They're just figuring out where the weaknesses are, try and get the wins, create chaos, so then there's economic instability. I mean, the ultimate goal of this is to create a cryptocurrency reality where the dollar no longer exists. And we're really going to get to the point where we just ignore them. You know, it's like that one person in the office that comes in and you're like, so how was your weekend? And you're already detached. Every single thing, every single time you see something orange or a proclamation or whatever. And again, this isn't about the man anymore because we've already exonerated the man. What I'm talking about is every single time it's like the government says this or this says that. We literally just roll our eyes and we're like, what the fuck? Okay, Karen, tell us about your weekend. And then Karen sits there and goes, well. And she acts like it's a soap opera. Well, you know, my sister's cousin's brother's uncle, you know, the one with the finger. Well, let me tell you about the time that he was whatever. Backflash. Oh my gosh, that's how he got the trick figure? Uh-huh. Too much Lysol. And then all of a sudden she talks all about how fast forward this weekend, I just happened to clean the house. There's Lysol. He comes in and goes, "Is that the smell of death?" And then I'm like, "No, it's lemon pledge, for crying out loud." He says, "Close enough," passes out, throws up on the balcony. My other neighbor, who of course gets sick at the sight of this, gets sick as well. But she's got a birthday party going on. She lets go of the balloons. The kid doesn't have any. The cake is now somehow soiled because another kid tries to get away, thinks it's hysterical, runs to his mother, knocks over the cake. And then all of a sudden, there's mayhem next door. My uncle's sister's cousin's brother's uncle that's allergic to Lysol. It's not even Lysol, it's lemon pledge with the trick finger. Again, I'm here to tell you it's a mess. Do you feel like that's the news these days? Is that the feeling that you listen to things now and you're just like, where's the bottom? Karen, where the fuck is the bottom? Yeah, the trick finger makes it a little weird. But it's like, how do you make this like some sort of compounded thing that's so disjointed and so discombobulated? And you have these other people defending it, going, "It's real, it's a man. He's a man. About time we had decisions being made." What they fail to recognize is that there's a difference between diplomacy and the slow acting sense of government, which, by the way, wasn't entirely correct either. But it was a slow moving glacier of change and dynamics and what have you. And you might not have agreed on the direction. I didn't agree on the total direction. But then on the other side of it, you have this dipshit just being like, if I put an M80 right here and I blow it up, that's going to make the glacier go sideways. And let me tell you something. We'll all have a trick finger by the end of the weekend. And they're just dropping bombs on everything. It's disrespectful to anybody that froze the glacier to begin with. It's disrespectful for anybody that thought that the glacier wasn't perfect but needed to change. And by the way, don't let them celebrate getting shit done. They're not. It's destructive. Right? Hattie, I might have been at your house, right? Yeah, you do ask why. I love that, Elaine. You sit back and you ask why because you say to yourself, like, do you guys ever look at yourself? Do you guys have any emotional IQ whatsoever? And listen, we've all done shit. We've all had moments where it's just like, is that me? Sure was trick fingers, buddy. You know, I've been putting a couple of finishing touches on a couple of different stories that are going to be in the new release of Funny You Should Say That. You guys do know that I'm an Amazon best-selling author. Ding. And you do know that my new books are going to be launching later this year. Ding. And you do know that I opened my own publishing company. I'm moving everything I've ever written onto my own platform. Ding. I'm not asking you to dig deep into your pockets here, but I am asking you to support. Oh, and by the way, These Velvet Pipes are going to be doing its own book. I have Thursday to do that. There'll be snow falling, and I'll be talking about Funny You Should Say That by Brandon Russ. A journey into consciousness and purpose. The first thing we need to do is reissue with some more content the first book, because we own everything. That's how it works. I have a book of poetry coming out. It's fantastically swimming along. And then I have another work of fiction called The Merkaba Chronicles that will be out. Target is in June. And then I'm going to hit the road. I also have a resource guide coming out called The Art and Science of Tarot. And then later on this year, there'll be an astrology for smart people, because I think calling you a dummy to buy my book is stupid. So astrology for smart people. And then you guys are going to look at it and be like, I'm not smart people. And I'll be like, you will if you buy it. And then you go, okay, can I get a t-shirt with that? You sure can. Because every single time I release things, it'll have collateral stuff that'll make you feel cool. So when my book that has been banned, or at least on the banned list, I don't know if it's truly been banned, but why look into facts? Like, I just kind of like the idea that it's on a ban list. In Texas, anyways, you will be able to buy the re-release and buy the t-shirt that says I read banned books, and it's got a really cool logo inside the on it. I'll be releasing that in about 2 weeks. I will also tell you that in Texas, they have started to remove, commissioners have been removing heads of public library that were working against the collective of banning books wholesale. It's happened in 2 places. Village Books is very adamant about the atrocity of that. And Jodi Picoult has also joined their cause in that area. I'm following it closely, and we'll be talking to them more and more. I think that when you start removing people, I mean, the first phase, if you look at how an autocrat gets into power, the first thing to do is they dismantle other checks and balances, like, say, I don't know, investigator generals. I don't know, heads of public libraries. I don't know. So then you have the illusion of things going okay, like everything's fine. And it's funny. It's funny because I think people don't realize what's really going on here. It's a shift of power. It's a shift of money. It's not about like sending immigrants back. Immigrants has been an unsolved topic for over 85 years. Do you want to know how ridiculously underqualified the people are that are working for ICE right now? Not all, but there was a man that was stopped in Arizona and was shaken down, and they said, we're going to deport you. He said, where are you going to send me? And he says, well, where are you from? He said, well, if you send me back to where I came from, I'm going to have to follow the Trail of Tears because my tribe was originally in the Plain States somewhere. He was Navajo, and he wanted to export his ass out of here, end quote. We don't even identify immigrants correctly because we're all fucking immigrants. Let that sit for a second. They tried to deport a Navajo Indian. Take as long as you need. Take as long as you need. These people are going to end up as the guest of the government. They just are. Because eventually we're going to wrestle this back. It might take a few years. Maybe you have to give them enough rope to let them hang themselves or dig themselves deep enough. And I understand, here's the whole thing. They took people's anger, and sometimes rightfully so, and they twisted it into a power grab. That's the sin, guys. It's not that there weren't problems, and it's not that those people are villainizing them. And by the way, the people that were on your feed that watched you be a snowflake wrote your name down so they have it somewhere. They want to know if you unfriend them because that's their level of measure. My new favorite thing is, could you imagine? Okay, so you guys know I'm a bit of a shit talker. So there was someone that I vicariously know. I don't even know them well. I'll own it. It's Facebook. And they wrote this thing about how, what a shame it is that people would judge their friendship based on politics. And then I started typing. And boy, am I a good typer. And I think I said something along the lines of, the sooner you recognize that this is that actually are discussed for you has nothing to do with your politics, but rather your value and your moral compass. And the fact that you are perfectly happy with harboring people of anger and ill will and revenge. That's the part that we still keep our eye on you for. Oh, it has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with you being a piece of crap about it. And by the way, I'm not saying that we all haven't done something we're not proud of. But you, my friend, are a severe piece of shit because you are trying to sell Tesla stocks on your website and Tesla cars. By the way, they don't have salespeople. They have sales referrals from other people that talk about how great they are. Great business model. Not mad, not upset. But on the other side of it, it's like we only want people to talk about us that think that we're great. Isn't that something else? Oh, by the way, Trump and Elon Musk are fighting head to head now, which is exactly what you would hope. The richest person in the world, which, by the way, how the fuck did the richest person in the world get onto the cabinet? Just let that sink in. Let it sink in, everybody. And every time I get into an argument, I just like, could you just please explain to me why it is that Elon Musk would be anywhere near the White House? Well, it's his expertise. What expertise? He basically grifted. And oh, by the way, that salute, let's address that. He grew up in apartheid. His father made money on apartheid. And at the end of the day, he just wants people to be able to do what he tells them to do. But somewhere in his heart, if at the bare minimum, you sit there and say to me like, oh, it was a Roman salute. Also a poor choice because Rome fell right after that salute came in. And if you say, oh, he was just excited and he's autistic, what the fuck is he doing in the cabinet? Please give me some people that have a certain level of internal constitution, internal, I'm not even sure what the word is that I'm looking for. And by the way, I'm not anti-autism. Please stop. I'm anti somebody that doesn't know how to control himself or read the fucking room, and he's doing Nazi salutes. Just because, listen, when Rudy Giuliani's son was getting crap for just being hyperactive and being difficult, and Rudy was like, I want to bring my kid to a Yankee game. I want him to, I want to share this with him. Right? Listen, I get it. He's a famous dude. He's always busy. He doesn't have a lot of time. Hey, listen, this is going to be memorable. I want to bring you. And then he's just like nachos and cheese fries, and I want more. By the way, Chris Farley nailed it. But I thought it was disgusting that people were like, oh, look at him and Rudy's son. And by the way, tongue in cheek, okay, I get it. But on the other side of it, he wasn't asking him to be in his cabinet. He was bringing him to a baseball game. He was doing stuff dads do. Elon Musk bought his way into this 100%. And Donald Trump can be bought and sold by anybody. You don't think so? If we all scraped our money together, don't you think we'd buy him? The hell yeah. And by the way, before you think that things are bad, and before you think that the world is about to get flushed, I want you to recognize that if you make more than $32,000 a year, $32,000 a year, by the way, the U.S. mean right now is 59. Again, where you are on that, no judging. But if you are above $32,000 a year, you are in the 1% of top earners in the world. Anyone? Bueller? Because when you take everyone in the world the 1.5 billion in China, the 4 billion on the continent of Africa, the sub-Sahara, or the subcontinent of India, with its 5 billion, 4 billion. If you make $32,000 a year, you are in the 1%. And how many of you are attached to a dual income home and barely making it? AI isn't a problem. AI could be a huge solution. And it all depends upon how I watch this podcast. Somebody turned me on to it. And it's basically like the diary of a CEO, interview with the CEO or something like that. It's brilliant work, like great interviewer, viable topics, viable people. And they had there was another one that I think got linked to it. And this really well-known economist who was very, he's kind of a little bit Robert Reichish. And he was the one that pointed it out, the 32,000. And I'm going to take an economist's word for it. And one of the things that he talked about was, they talked about the effects of AI in how we grow. And by the way, guys, we'll get to some cards here in a minute. Thank you for your patience. I'm having fun. AI has been, viewed as like, oh my gosh, it's terrible, it's whatever. Well, AI can improve our life in the most dramatic of ways. And depending upon, if AI comes in and says, okay, well, AI can perform the functions of others, and it can improve another machine in its efficiency and production, where if they made, they used to make 10 widgets an hour, but then with AI, they're able to make 20 widgets an hour. What that business owner does with that knowledge and efficiency is everything. What has been happening is the business owner looks at that efficiency level and says, well, if I can double production, I need half of the crew. And it's like, oh, well, what does that mean? It means I can make more money. That's it. Well, on the other side of it, if you were to go down whatever that socialist communist crap that everybody talks about is, what they would do is they would say, okay, guys, instead of working 8 hours a day, we're only going to work 4 hours a day because we get double the production based off of that. So we can have the same amount. And guess what? Your quality of life is going to go up. Our economics stay exactly the same, but we get time back. So we begin to understand value. How many companies are doing that? I mean, right next to zero. Right? It is a diary of a CEO. I give it 2 thumbs up. But what needs to happen is the part in between, which generally happens with a lot of CEOs. Not so much recently, but for a long time, what would happen is they would then, instead of being like a 4-hour day, that seems a bit much. But instead of like cutting staff, what they would do is actually a combination of both. Maybe we need 20% less staff and we move to 6-hour days, 6.5-hour days. Or maybe we increase our vacation time. We have some primer of reward-based system for you to gain more quality of life, whatever that is. Or maybe they start to pay for insurance, medical insurance. I'm sorry. Am I a radical? Seem to be. And there was some level of dynamic in between the two of those things, right? For a long time. But with the current environment, and certainly with the nutcases that he thinks are great leaders, they almost always went to the cut everybody in half and be efficient. If you listen to what Elon Musk did when he took over Twitter, It's a level of insanity that should scare the shit out of anybody. And by the way, I could care less about Twitter or X or whatever it is. I don't care. I do not care. His behavior is a big deal. I don't care that he's had 8 kids by 5 women. Whatever. Congratulations. I don't care that he doesn't talk to his father anymore because he couldn't address his abusive nature. I don't care that he saw Amber Heard as a hot ticket when Johnny Depp and him and her flipped out and were no longer a thing. He moved right in on that. Literally. He watched it on TMZ and called her up. Spent the weekend with her. Am I coming in clearly? Notice I haven't skipped in a while. They love juicy shit. It is reasonable to say that Elon Musk hates humans, but quote unquote loves humanity. And how do you find that both ways? He doesn't have any social interpretive skills. He can't read the room. Right? So how is somebody like that? Like, he wants to get us to Mars. He wants to get us to Mars so his frere ego is somehow on the side of a capsule or on a flag. Wants to get us to Mars. Wants to make sure that he's the one that gets us there. Nobody else. It's these hero complexes. It's this Trumpism arguments of like, I'm going to save you. And listen, Joe Biden, just the other side of the aisle, let's not even call it out a person, are getting dragged through the mud because they took a little piece for them, which is the human nature. But they still were willing to say, like, this will be something good for all people. Right? You can be disgusted. You can try and shield yourself from it. But I'm going to give you a hint. You're fully involved. You're fully immersed. How are you going to unplug? Right? Luigi, huh? Or maybe these are just the broken people that we should be looking after instead of asking to be in charge. Donald Trump needs a tremendous amount of healing. Elon Musk was abused beyond words. They were the result of other inhumane treatments, primarily by their fathers. I'm not justifying it. I'm just telling you root cause analysis because we get obsessed with the problem. You can get obsessed with Donald Trump being a not good person. You could be obsessed with Elon Musk being an inhumane person. You're not wrong. That gets us nowhere. And by the way, being able to say to them, like, hey, I really think you should use a therapist. That's not going to help either. But what can help is being able to decipher and decide what we're going to do after this, because it's unsustainable. Every single thing they're doing is unsustainable. Everything. Have you ever seen a kid get really mad and like trash their room? Hey, 80, how are you? Black Bell, good to see you. Teleport him to Mars. Let's deport him to Mars. I love this. I love this. It's a chain of abuse, Jim. Got it. Somebody's getting it. So how do you break the chain of abuse? How do you break ancestral wounds and heal them? That's what we're seeing here. As a culture, as a society, we didn't do well. And again, I'm going to say this again. You do not represent me, DJT. You are not even of my species. You're just not. I'm having a hard time recognizing. I think I got 2 decks here. This is pretty big. No, not quite. Fall of the Roman Empire. Nero played the fiddle. He'll be on the back 9. Right? First, you have to acknowledge it and then work on yourself. Some people refuse to look within. How many people have had on your feed in the last 6 weeks? 2025 is the year of working on yourself. It's a thing, ain't it? Right? Yeah, the telepathy tapes. That's a good bring up right there, Trish. I actually have them in my saved. Totally. 100%. Yeah, Kelly, you bring up a really good point that 32K doesn't really cut it in today's world, and it doesn't. Like, how do we get so lopsided? It's greed, guys. It's all greed. All of it's greed. How much? The other thing that this CEO or this economist pointed out is your level of happiness between 60,000 and 75,000 is incrementally ridiculously high. The difference between 10 million and 20 million is negligible. You literally don't get affected by it because you almost have to have a level of your brain to be shut off. In a class that I'm working on now, I see many participants out there. We did a fun little thing called Congratulations, You Won the Lottery. And it's an experiment on what you would do so that then you have an awareness with what you would do with that much money. Life-changing money. I mean, not so much that you can be frivolous with it, but enough that you can be comfortable, even with the rising ridiculousness out there. And the idea that people would squander it on like helping others that have never helped themselves, or, to create, animal sanctuaries, really great and noble things, but did you take care of yourself? There's a lesson in this, and it has to do with energy. It has to do with self-care. It has to do with being able to bring yourself to a position to recognize that you squander energy all the time. You squander resources all the time. And until you learn to change that, Spirit's not going to give you jack shit. So if you do go within and figure out your patterns and figure out what you do and how you do it, you could open yourself to the idea that maybe you are the corner of success and abundance. Maybe you can work hard at something. And by the way, the first thing you have to do is create a vacuum so those numbskulls can't ruin your peace. Their focus is to ruin peace because they're hedging on the bets for cash. Funny. Well, good, Janet, because here comes your cards, kid. So, it's funny. Oh, look at us. Look at us. Are we up high enough here? Here we go, Janet. Well, yeah, because I was dropping truth bombs. I'm telling you guys, I'm being monitored. That's the way it goes. All right, Janet, here we go. Here's a couple of 3 cards, or 3 cards to answer. We're gonna shuffle up and heal, guys. That's what we do. It's what we do. Is what we do. Here we go. Here we go. Is what we do. Is what we do. All right, here we go. All right, Janet. Oh, what do you know? Our old friend, the 8 of Swords. This is going in and working on your intuition. By the way, it's also last week in the astrological chart. Why stop there? This is about your feminine divine. We're going to work with that a little bit. And then we're also going to bring out the 10 of Pentacles. So this is about abundance. This is about you paying attention to who you are, honoring yourself, bringing yourself in. And here is the 7 of Swords. This is about the peacemaker within. So you got the 8 of Swords, the 7 of Swords. This is about a new beginning for your thought process because you're combining the two of them. You're learning how to combine your intuition along with making sure that you have this inner peace, right? Does that make sense to you? Good. 5 of, this is neglecting your feminine divine. Can we not do that anymore? And by the way, this abundance card, it's all about timing. The 4 of Swords is you could get it wrong if you push it, but you're not. You don't need to beg, steal, or borrow because ultimately you are going to be the one. I love this spread for you here, Janet. Very significant to me that the 8 of Swords comes out first. Combined with the 7 of Swords, it's about taking the higher ground. It's about connecting the dots for you. The Empress, along with the 5, you got to put you first. Am I right or am I right? 10 of Pentacles are waiting for you. You just got to wait for your timing, and you got to be the one. Oh, love that, Janet. Thanks for getting us going. The best. The last card is from the Illuminous Humanus Illuminous cards, right? Yep. So, Janet, thank you so much. Black Bell. Was it a long freeze? I'm so sorry, guys. Biomassive farm. Look at you guys go. Hey, Gigi, I see you there. Yeah, I can do that. I do know you, Janet. Keep going. Keep going. We're going to go to Gigi now. Hi, Gigi. How are you? Whoop. Oh, Page of Cups. Hello, lover. Page of Cups comes out to kind of say, hi, how you doing? And then the Page of Cups comes out, or the Page of Swords comes out. Page of Cups, Page of Swords. Oh, and the devil. You, my dear. Are you wearing pants? Are you wearing pants? Gigi, you can't wish for a reading, and then when I roll this out, you can't be upset. But here it is. You want to be dreamy. You want something new. You need something, whatever. You want new love. You want new thought patterns. You want all these changes, right? Right. And here's the dynamic here is that you're tied down. The devil card isn't something nefarious, but it is a commitment level. So for you, it's about that. So guess what? The Emperor, this is falling back, and you're not just you're being the right way. Oh, you want to tackle big shit, don't you, Gigi? Because after the Page of Swords here, we're going to put the Justice card on top. Is Justice blind? I don't know. But this is a new way to look at your obligations. You can fulfill your obligations aside from the traditional way to go, right? Might want to mix some things up there. The Justice card comes out for you to kind of find balance between this new idea and not being an extreme about it, right? Remember when I was talking about what's going on with the current administration? They have some decent points at times, but it gets lost in their extremism. We just look at each other and we're like, what a fucking asshole. Like, that's the only thing you can say most of the time. But Gigi. Oh, Gigi. The glisten when you listen I get that a lot, actually. They glisten when you listen. In other words, boy, I'm trying to keep this one clean. You can always tell your own when you're communicating well. You can always tell that sometimes people, yeah, like I thought the Peanuts cards were, they were on a little hiatus a couple of weeks. I'd pull them out, shuffle up and heal a little bit. But to me, the glisten when they listen is they glisten when you listen. In other words, pay attention to your guides here. This is solution based to me. This isn't problem based. That even though you've got a card like the devil, like some people flip with that, and then you got the hangman, this is just a new approach to some of your obligations. But there's a concreteness for love. Concreteness for love. We're going to go to an old favorite here. We're going to go to an old favorite. Are you going to win the lottery? Well, I don't know. Let's talk about where you're going with this. I love this, Black Bell. I love this for you. Why don't I give you the new job card? Can't make this shit up. Here we go. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy work, but it is going to bring in happiness. Black Bell, we're all pulling for you. I know your area's been ravaged with the fires. I know it wasn't necessarily directly with you, but it's a thing. Still get affected by it. See what the Page of Pentacles comes back with. Oh, yeah, here we go. Could I give you the Three of Cups? I think you're going to like this new job. I really do. Queen of Spades. Girl, get off the OnlyFans, will you? Could you cut this out? And then the happiness comes quick with the Eight of Wands. I think you needed this spread. I'm joking around about the OnlyFans, but maybe this is about you going into business for yourself and fulfilling a need that you think isn't out there. In other words, like, I can do this. Nobody else is doing what I'm doing, right? Black Belt, you're laughing at me because we both know how true and close you are. Well, let's let the magic happen, and you are already golden. You know, one of the coolest things that I always got to do with people when they were searching for a job is I would hear their perspective about it. And on energy lecturing, we should talk. You can join great people like Renee and Courtney and some other people that are going to be joining the channel, right? And if it's hey, Pauline and Kat, I see you guys. And what I think is important is that they would always give me perspectives. And I had this one guy who had been unemployed for about 3 months, and his unemployment was running out and things like that. And he went from, well, I get a reduced paid vacation. That's what he would say. He goes, so I have time and I have a little severance. I'm not sure how much. I'm not sure whatever. But I will tell you that when his benefits started to run out and everything else, he said, I really get the opportunity to wake up every morning and not have to rush. And that's what I'm enjoying. By the way, this guy had a big home. He had a family. He had responsibilities. And he just took a step back with everything and everyone. He let them panic. He's like, I'm not worried. It'll come. And then he had that little sense of urgency. And he said, you know, I've been going back and forth between whether or not I want to go into business for myself. He's a CPA, by the way. Like, he was, he got laid off from one of the big guys. And part of it was that he wasn't super aggressive to become a partner. But when you start to realize like you really need people like that around you if you're going to grow a business, if you have nothing but alpha dogs, they're going to eat each other. By the way, that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a bunch of alpha dogs just chewing on each other's ass. That's a visual, Elon. And they hit the skids at about 6 months. And they called me and they said, listen, we can bring him back as a consultant. We want him back like today. And I'm like, well, that's great news. I called him and I said, hey, what are we doing here? You can start tomorrow. Name your price. He said, boy, I'm really being put on a decision now, aren't I? Like, what do you mean? He said, well, I just filed for my PLLC and I have a logo and everything. And I go, that's fantastic. And he said, but if they hand me another paycheck, he goes, like, that's way more than I was making before. And I said, yeah, so what do you want to do? And he said, I've really learned to enjoy setting my own pace. Black belt, learn to set your own pace. Right? There'll be times that you'll jump out like your hair is on fire. Probably the wrong analogy, Brandon. But do allow yourself to have those moments where you press it and moments where you lay back. Moments where you tackle things, right? By the way, the new launch of these podcasts on the More Than a Medium Media Network will be things like energy discussions. What are you waiting for? You're hired. Got it? There's some great people that are going to be attached to this group, and we're going to lift each other up, right? And by the way, you do need alphas sometimes, and you do need the sensitive ones sometimes. We don't understand how to team build in this country. You guys do know that. We're too busy about hierarchies and importance and that sort of thing. Everybody should read My Iceberg is Melting by John Cotter, and you'll understand that we're in a full sail operative demise right now. And everybody's looking at one another going, it's this person's fault. It's that person's fault. It's risk mitigation. Black Belt, I just offered you a job. I'll talk to you tomorrow. It's the way it rolls, kid. Okay. Oh. Let's tackle some stuff with that, huh? Let's roll up here. Love that you guys are jumping in the way you are. Yeah, Donna, I saw you here, kid. How are you? Hope you're doing. Let's do a few of these. I want to get a couple more. How about if I just kind of flow a little bit? Let's look at things a little different, kid. Huh? Donna Marie. Oh, Ace of Pentacles. This is a hand that feeds you for sure. And then we got the King of Swords. This is dad energy, and I think you've learned a lot about. Is dad still with us? Oh, yeah. Is dad still with us? Is dad in passing, Donna? Black Belt, this is going to be a platform for you to grow everything else that you need. Got it? So, Donna, dad's still here. So this is where I'm going to go with this. I think this is you being able to see what dad's role is to you. In other words, this is a chance for reconciliation. This is a chance for growth, right? Page of Pentacles, something new here. It's pretty fantastic. This is new. Yeah, this is a different way to look at stuff. This is a new relationship with dad. Oh, and this is also the money thing is here, but I think this is time and resources. Maybe this is you working with dad in a different way. King of Swords along with the King of Wands. So when you take away the emotion, you're kind of like, maybe this is the turn of dad. That maybe you understand him in a different way, more compassionate, right? Backstroke through your river of gold. I don't know. I like these cards though. I think where I'm going to go with this is the understanding that this is something new. And I think you've turned the idea that whether things had to be revealed to you or whether you needed to gain a different perspective, it was all very good for you. I'm going to tell you why I love your relationship with your dad. I think it's complex, and I think you had to let stuff go. You know, the fool card is sometimes being the fool, in control of being the fool. Yeah, he's a worker. But it's almost like instead of looking at it as in like he's always away or he was always doing something else, but rather it's giving you an opportunity to see him in a different way. I think it's just time to honor him, to be honest with you. Just time to honor him. Just say, hey, Dad, you've done a great job. Put your feet up. You know, can I get you a beer? Can I get you an unsweetened iced tea because you're diabetic? Whatever. One of my top 20 people of all time, Cindy, is here. Thanks so much. I need to get to another powwow, Cindy. The drumming is strong with this one. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, I remember that concert. Oh, I remember that. I remember that drum circle. But I think this is an opportunity to connect with you in a way. And by the way, if you're also hearing this and you're like, oh, I'm going to pay attention to this. Yeah, it's how energy works, everybody. It's how energy works, right? Don't we love how this works? Donna, thanks so much. And by the way, Donna mentioned dad was always a worker. What a way to honor him. What a way to honor him. You know, sometimes it's like sometimes you got to rock and roll, right? And like as a parent, you just end up getting caught in all of that stuff of needing to get things done, and you forget your kids. Shit happens all the time, and then you're like, I got Yankee tickets. I'm going to bring my kid, and then he doesn't know how to act because you didn't bring him the other 360 games a year, right? It's a thing. Top comment of the night. I'm sorry, Hattie. You had me at hold on. By the way, the beginning of that card spread was pretty racy. I'm just going to let you know. But this is where you're going. Oh, take that frown and turn it upside down. We got the Three of Swords here. Relax. It's your buddy. It's your pal. Oh, I'm beating you up with this one. I don't know if you won the lottery here. Oh, yeah. You know the Peanuts deck is going to do us right? Can you just I was a little off camera there. I should really line myself up. Well, I was rolling out these suspect cards for you. Let's talk about the journey of you, right, Hattie? Where you're like, I've just been so darn disappointed. I don't want to do this again. So much so that you get a little conniving, you get a little conundrum about yourself, and you're like, I'm going to be so smart about this. I'm never going to get put in this situation again. And then the wise woman's tale as you walk around with the Three of Wands. You have the wand in front, the wand beside, the wand behind. It is the actions that you've had in this life that have decided where you go with it. Four of Pentacles. You know what this is? This is you keeping it close to the vest from a broken heart. What's that? Paul Young, where do broken hearts go? he painted this picture of like going to like the island of misfit toys, but for hearts that have been broken. Right? And then you've got the decision to make. So you've made a cognitive decision about what you're doing and where you're going. Oh, I love this. This is you taking the emotion out of it and saying, I'm just going to make decisions for me. I am not going to worry about what everybody else has the effect on. You made the decision to put your kindness, your happiness, you're no longer wanting to be brokenhearted. And you can be brokenhearted about a lot of things. You can be brokenhearted by a person. You can be brokenhearted with what you see in the world. You can be brokenhearted because you begin to think to yourself, like, how not okay is this? Right? And you take the emotions out of it just a little bit and you make good decisions because of it. Because maybe that's part of the reason why you had, the 3 swords going through your heart to begin with, because your heart was on your sleeves. Your emotion was right there. That is much more of a mental block. And then you acted in a way where you kept it close to your vest. You wanted to protect yourself, made the decision to do so. And oh, by the way, the other decision to be like, yeah, I'm going to make these decisions based on myself. And then what do we have here? Inescapable bliss. You, girl, have got it going on. I love everything about this. Everything about this, Hattie. And I know it looks a little rough at first. Well, actually, hold on a second. Back to me. I have a book and a YouTube channel. I travel the world. I have some idea. But Hattie, the reason why Spirit would give you a reading like this today, because you just needed a reaffirmation of who the fuck you are. We're going through the levels of reminding yourself who you are. Who are you in your authentic self? Who are you in your sovereignty? Who are you with a vacuum where you're able to shield yourself from every piece of nonsense, every obligation, every emotional tie, old baggage from, way back when, from 6 senators ago that you go, oh yeah, I remember that person, right? Hattie, this is about self-improvement for you. Put down the candle wax for a second and quit pouring it in places we don't share. Quit beating yourself up, kid. Smell the fragrance of the candle. Let it burn bright. Just sit with it and watch it burn. Not in the symbolism of letting things go, but the flame's going to do what it's going to do, and it's not going to have anything hold it back. You need to do what you need to do and not let anything hold you back. I love how smart you've gotten, by the way. Sadie just nailed this. Good, Cindy. I'm glad you're here. Who is she, Batty Hattie? Come on, I love that. Oh, Sam, thanks so much for the words. It's okay. It kind of like Batty a little bit. It's all good. And it's kind of a thing, right? It's kind of a thing. Hattie, thanks so much. And you know what, Sadie, we're going to come to you. Haiti, Sadie. There's a little bit of a theme. All of you are changing your names to like Batty now. We're like, oh, next B. Well, that's kind of how we go. Listen, careful what you wish for, kid. Hattie, thanks so much for tuning in when you do. 9 of Cups. Sadie, can I get an amen? The 9 of Cups is about the outward appearance of happiness, of coming from a place of joy. It's imperfect. It's perfectly imperfect, right? Then we got the Justice card. This is about balance. This is about righting the wrong. And then the 2 of Wands, the decision making. It's holding the power over something else and deciding whether or not you want to pull the trigger. Does that make sense? Does it also, I mean, one of the other things with this kind of spread too is that the balance comes in the empowerment of being able to make the decision. You're just not happy for happy's sake, right? This is about building something here, right? Hattie, you are very welcome. Oh, I'm going to give you the devil card. I'm going to tell you what this means with the Nine of Cups. There's actually not a negative connotation with that at all. You know what it is? It's a whatever abundance you have no problem with sharing it. It means that you got yourself to a certain place or certain position, whether it's helping other people around you or whatever the case may be. This is about a structured inability. So this Justice card combined with the Four of Cups is the part where you feel like something has been missing. Like there's some sort of justice component. There's some sort of balance component, right? And then, I fucking love this reading. I love my work, guys. The Two of Wands along with the Sun card. Every little thing gonna be all right now. Let this be guidance that you truly need. Wanderlust is a must. Love that. So let me explain. When you see things like the Devil card and the Tower and Judgment and that sort of thing, they move you along in your story. The Nine of Cups is such a powerful, actionable, loving display of self card that when the Devil shows up, it means that there's such a level of stability that it could also be holding you back from that level of happiness, but you've got the things that you need in order to do. And is it the idea that the Justice card and the balance or whatever needs to be done right has been holding you back, feeling like you're missing something out? Maybe that's the capture of this. So maybe the release of it is saying, you know what, I'm going to release myself of this. I'm going to release information. I'm going to release the binds of the opinion of others or the actions of others. And then when you choose that, it's a bright, sunny day. And then for you to have Wanderlust as a must, Wanderlust as a must isn't just about travel. It's about sheer curiosity. And it's not about finding out the answers. One of the things we get really wrong when we start doing this work in any form, shape, whatever, personal development, whatever, is that we always think we need to know what happened. We always think we need to know the outcome. We read the last chapter sometimes, don't we, everybody? But yet we forget to enjoy the book. Now I kind of know how this is going to go. You know, in the Merkaba Chronicles, which is the book that's going to be coming out in June, this is a great summer read. Great summer read. It's 3 short stories. They're intertwined, and you get an astrology lesson along with it because after the page turner that it is, you also get a full-on astrology reading about that main character or aspects as to what their behavior lent itself to. And it's a great way to learn astrology. It's a great way to learn how things get you there, right? And it's a thing. It's a thing. Every little thing is gonna be all right now. Right? Good, Sadie. I'm glad. Sadie gave a kudos here. Just kind of mention it though. Wait, where's the love? The love's right here. That's where the love is. I'm perfectly imperfect. Yes, so true, so true. All right, guys, let's do a few more here. Michelle? Gosh, look at you. Oh, we're gonna get to this one. We're gonna do a little rapid fire here. I'm gonna do a couple of them here in a row. Make sure we get to them here. Ace of Swords. New mindset coming in, new contract. I don't know who you're in a relationship with that you got to change some stuff, but here you are. Then you got the celebration here. You got the whoa, these two are actually the same card, but we're going to go over here. This is a contract. This is a new job. This is a new way of life. This is you taking the reins and going ahead and doing it. And then you got the Knight of Spades. It's about new mindset. Boy, this is about either your spending habits, your contracts, your business stuff going on. You got a lot of cool stuff here, Michelle. Don't lose sight of it. Don't lose sight of it. I see a big mountain in the world, but not of it. In other words, this is going to come out of the blue. Somebody's looking out for you and they're pushing 10. That's the way it works sometimes. Looks a little Mount Shasta-ish, although Mount Shasta is much bigger and much wider. And you guys keep preaching that size doesn't matter. Well, I'm here to tell you, Shasta is huge. It's got it where it counts. This mountain, though, is about telling you that you have to reach a pinnacle of it and then take a leap. This spread, this layout is coming in quick. It's coming in change. It's going to directly affect how you garner time. Time, money, every little thing. Got it? Cardinal Hallelujah is sticking in there today. Let's give you some cards here, love. Oh, a little bit of burden. By the way, the 10 of Wands here is not necessarily all negative. And I think a lot of readers took it as negative. I certainly taught it that way for a long time. But I also recognize that sometimes it's about the burden, not necessarily about the agony of the burden. Like, hey, you are cool enough to take the responsibility, but it's tiresome. King of Cups comes in. Let's give a little bit of love. Here's a little bit of loss. So maybe this is about letting things go. Maybe this is about recognizing that you've got to centerpiece yourself for love. Two of Swords comes in along with the, oh yeah, here we go. The Knight of Wands and then the 10 of Cups. I'm going to tell you exactly where we're going with this. When you get the 5 of Cups together with the 10 of Cups, this means that you're doubling up. This doesn't necessarily mean that we're going from loss to gain. What this is doing is doubling up on the efforts. And by the way, changing that, this is a change in relationship. Holy shit. I don't know if you got empty nest stuff going on here, Carolina, but this is a significant change and some choices being made intuitively so that then you can kind of get right with the King of Cups here, which is kind of the base love of self-love, but it's also about approaching it a little bit differently. It's doubling down your efforts. You were getting half as much, now you're doubling it. Bada bing, bada bam, love it all the way through. We're like two ships passing in the night. Trim tab, which is a sailor's term, which is when you pull back, where you don't go quite as fast, you slow down. I think you're enjoying the loved one you're with, actually. I think you're going to gain more out of it if you slow yourself down. Kudos to you, Carolina. Where's the love? The love's right there. Double down. Double down. I hope you enjoyed that. Yes, catch up. You guys know my stories. Of course, Sam. I'm so glad you said something so we can roll them out here. Oh, the Emperor. Somebody thinks they're in charge. But as you know, sometimes they're not in charge. I'm going to give you this because I love you to death. Six of Swords. By the way, take a simple, gentle, deep breath in. The 6 of Cups looks a little beat up, don't it? Makes it look like, who put 6 swords at the bottom of a boat? What kind of dipshit designed that? Well, I'll tell you, somebody that was on a journey. The 6 of Swords is about the journey, and it's not very long. It might be a little painful, might take on a little water. And then you get the six of Wands. Let me tell you something. This is somebody from the other side saying, I'm sorry I took you in the long journey, but you're doing the right thing now. How am I doing? Am I doing okay? Thanks so much for the endorsement. And by the way, how about if we go here? Page of Wands. This is about a new love. This is about a new connection. The moon. In other words, it was all a subconscious illusion, and it relied on everything else to shine. I think what he's trying to say to you right here is, without you, I didn't exist. And again, this is about doing the right thing in temperance. Maybe this is overcoming some of your personal challenges. Maybe this is about you steadying the ship. Maybe it's you being a leader for 2 young men. How am I doing? By the way, let's kind of roll this one. Yeah, who puts holes in the boat? Oh, I love this one. This is the how to win the game of life. The defense rests your honor. The defense rests your honor. Right? I love that. Yeah, I'm going to pull out the Leo Marchetti deck. I think I'm going to pull that out on Wednesday. And if our conversation goes well tomorrow, we might have a special guest on the energy report. I don't know if you know this or not, but I was in recruiting for a long time, and I can identify talent over the internet. And sometimes you need to build the energy report with people that have good discussions about the energy of the world. 2 young pains in the asses, I do know. Look at that. Is he taller than you now? Now in the treasury, you're so right. So good. Yes, and I'm going to go right up here. You know I am, Cindy. How are you, kid? So good to see you. We must drum again soon. Queen of Pentacles. I'm going to look you in the eye with this one. It's about a practical nature of your teacher. Did you just lose a teacher? Because the Eight of Cups comes up. This is about loss and recognizing that it might be incomplete, whether it be a teaching or love or something along those lines, where it's like it's not quite the Nine of Cups. It's the Eight of Cups. It's kind of a level of imperfection, but it's also got an abundance to it. Like you have to recognize that the sun and the moon are working together. It's the conscious and the subconscious. It is the journey. And then, of course, you come out with the Ace of Wands. This is going to work out okay. This is going to go the way you need it to go. Queen of Cups and the King of Cups. Well, if that ain't pairing together well. See what I said there? And oh, by the way, this is about the Two of Pentacles. Soulmate card. When I see loss and a soulmate card together, I think that maybe you lost somebody that was very tethered to your path, your soul path. Doesn't necessarily need to be a loved one per se, but it's definitely there. It's 100% there, right? And then you get the 10 of Pentacles. Well, there's a ton of abundance here. So this is abundance by working through what you need to work through with this person. This is pretty awesome. I like everything about this for you, Cindy. Because here we go. Rings of Saturn. This is one of my favorite things. Rings of Saturn is about a stability. Right? And my former guide, who are both crossed. Yeah, that's what this is. Huh. You just got a bonus card. Because I realized I pulled the card already. It's a death card. So their expectation for you is change. Listen, you know how this works, then. You of all people, of recognizing that the change in death is change. That's it. This is you taking the reins and being the one. That's where your abundance is. It's about your leadership. It's about your leadership. You know, one of the great things, I was just talking about this, you know, having great number twos in organizations are really important. But sometimes you're a two for a long time because you're learning how to be a one. And it does make sense. It makes sense because then you can present to them, you know, in this book of poetry I have coming out, I have a really poignant, and it might even be the title. I haven't worked on that. I've been working on the title here for a little bit, right? And one of the poems that I wrote was called, you know, How Do Brokenhearted People Heal? And what I talk about in that is all of the ways that your heart breaks in little ways, right? Yeah, I know. Don't you love the bonk? It softens the blow of change, doesn't it? But to look at like how do we deal with loss? How do we deal with change? How do we deal with the ways that people break our heart? Is it just because somebody, you know, and in part of it, and I really had to work this to a point of eloquency, was, you know, is it a therapist who leaves two messages and never hears back and realizes that their patient took the bridge instead of the appointment? And we always have free will. And I can talk quite intelligently about the astrology of things, and that this Mars opposition to Pluto. Have you seen how many deaths there are? My feed is chock full. And it's people that are near my age. It is people, you know, we're losing parents. You know, you're in the early to mid 50s and your parents are in their 70s, 80s and pushing 90. It's a thing. Right. Yeah. And of course you knew that, Cindy. Of course you knew it. And by the way, forcing you to type wow, death, renew, cycle of life, that's what you needed here today. That's what you needed. That was from your teachers. Happy to be a catalyst. And the rings of Saturn are about creating a safe space for a solid foundation. Saturn being the concrete, the chronos, the timekeeper, the value, and putting rings around it so people feel safe. But how do broken people heal? That's what it is. How do the brokenhearted heal? I was feeling very Bukowski about it. Or is it a teacher that works so hard to bring their student to light and does it time and time again, only to have it taken away because we don't know how to protect our kids from a system or whatever? Cindy, I'm teaching a class tomorrow on shaman's residence. It's tomorrow at noon. Send me a message and I'll send you the link. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm also going to tell you that I started to do the research and I found evidence that this new class that I'm teaching has an effect on the resonance. Cat energy work. We love you. You can always rewind. We'll see you more. Yeah. This is something to come along for. And by the way, there are really good people in this world. It is on tilt. We're fakaked. And listen, the people that are being tempted are being tempted. And it's not the devil. It's not whatever. They're being tempted by the root of all evil. They're being tempted by taking people's time, effort, money, and identity away. Right? Rita, a little amen. Did I not send out the email about class tomorrow on shaman resonance? And by the way, it was suggested by someone else in the class because they brought it up in a discussion, right? And by the way, if you want to join the class, go to the website. Cindy, I definitely want you there, but anybody can sign up for it. It is we hold it on Tuesdays at noon Eastern. It's an hour in and out. I talk about the astrology of the week really quick. I talk about a couple of tarot cards that are particular to the time and place of where we're at in the astrological cycle. And then we talk about a topic. And it's an hour in and out. It's a fun check. It's great. And listen, if you don't make it, it ends up in your inbox eventually. I'm getting better, everybody. Rita, cut your shit. I will send this out. And it's a blessing for people that just want to hear kind of a little bit of humor along with the astrology, along with the class. And I don't hold back. Like, it's a straight shot. We talk about the stuff. I get it in there. There's a little bit of sharing. But it's not therapy group by any stretch. But I want to hear things that move the conversation along. And those of you that have been in the class know exactly what I'm talking about. I love to hear your stories about your cousin, sister's, uncle's best friend with the trick knuckle. It's a great story, but not appropriate for the shaman resonance. And it's funny, as I get back into playing drums, there's a couple of 5 albums that I will always go to and just throw on, put on the earbuds and just freaking wail. And one of them is Mechanical Resonance by Tesla. Like, every time. Modern Day Cowboy. Do you think I got a gong by accident? Hell to the no. There's a lot of rock star to that. And I think that it is 12 p.m. tomorrow. You go to the website, find the weekly B, sign up for it. You can still get in for tomorrow. And I always like to send, when people start signing up, I always send them a couple of weeks beforehand, so you get a couple of the classes, so you can binge on a few. And they're different. It challenges me as a teacher. And by the way, I'm going to address it because you guys talk about it when nobody's looking. I've gone through something I can't explain. I see where this is going. And I know that there's pain connected to it. But I also know that there's space and grace that will come with it too. You can't give up. You can't say to yourself, what am I going to do? You have inside of you an energy life force in a universe that is only waiting to connect with another light force in the universe. It's been a week. And when you're no longer chasing things and you let it come to you, the perspective is way different. Because instead of seeing the peripheral of when you're going fast, whatever speed you're going, you're looking ahead. And then you get distracted and you look back and then the forward looks weird, right? But instead, when you're no longer chasing, when you're no longer trying to figure it out, when you're no longer thinking, will this work, won't this work? And then you realize that every single failure you've had set you up perfectly for this moment to be like, oh, that's what that was. And in a quiet moment, you bitch out your spirit guides and your people. But then you realize that you were built for the moments that they're about to put you in. Guys, I love that you guys are on this channel. You guys are going to be part of the Remember When crew. Remember when we only had about 100 people on the channel? And by the way, this isn't me claiming fame. It's not. It's a resonation that's going to have people come to this, to us, to you, to all of us. And we need good, clear voices. Listen, mistakes are going to happen. That's not what I'm talking. I'm not talking about not being human. I'm talking about having a passion and a zest for life and energy and all the things that we are. You know, Cindy, not for nothing, but I'm sorry to hear that a friend of yours attempted to leave, but why are they in your life? Because you're a bright light. It's the answer. It's the answer every time. So the more things that you see, and by the way, if it's manufactured, let yourself go through the intuitive checkbox and develop your own technique, develop your own way, your own knowledge base, and say, you know, whenever I've been put in this position, I go through these checkpoints. And if I find this true, this true, and this true, it typically means this. Reserve the right to be wrong. Reserve the right to learn as you go and give yourself space and grace. There are people in this world that just want to beat the shit out of each other, figuratively and literally. Let them. When they come into your space, just know that it's your energy they want. And instead of thinking, oh my God, what an asshat, think to yourself, my energy's something else, huh? I'm no longer looking to heal myself because I am healed. I'm falling apart at the seams, but I'm healed. Played drums for 2 hours today, picked up music that I hadn't read, and kind of nailed it. Because I just let it go and I just enjoyed it. I was in joy. I made no mistakes. You know, if a critic came in, they'd be like, well, you double hit this, you hit this too hard, you're a little loud here, Need to come in on time on this. All right. First time through. You know what I did? I played enjoy. Not ENGOY, INJOY. I've lost my sense of urgency to be right because I know how I feel can't be judged by anybody else. I'm glad you guys are a part of this, and I know you're going to start sharing this channel. You sure are, Cindy. Cindy, we're teaching people how to be like that. We're teaching people how to be themselves, and in themselves, they're amazing humans. Right? Yes, Stephanie, I love Mel. I love Mel Robbins. And she's a little manufactured, I'm not going to lie. Like, it's a little too critiqued, but I love where she goes with it, right? Because I enjoy doing this stuff, and the tarot cards were a vehicle. The astrology was an understanding. The gift, the readings, are a conduit. It has just slowly showed me where to go. And I've had people hurt me. They hurt me because I let them. That's a shitty thing to say, right? But then I recognized that, boy, what an honor it was for them to work out their stuff on me. Because what else am I going to be as a light worker but for you to do that? Now I'm just savvy enough to go like, oh, this is your stuff, not mine. Right? Observe, not invest. Observe, not invest. Trish, I love that. You're going to this is going to come down to you, and this is going to come down to me. Yeah, I keep freezing. Truth bombs will do that. Yeah, Cindy, I mean, that's a legit question. Sometimes it comes down to intention. Sometimes people will intentionally do things they should have known better, or they didn't know better and knew exactly what they were doing. And then it becomes the expectation of, if I don't have any expectations about a situation, I can never be disappointed. I love when I travel to go see baseball games. I love it. I could not really. I mean, the Houston Astros are a fine organization. They've had some challenges. I know what you guys are going to say. Relax, save it for later. Is that a garbage can I hear? Anyways, but to sit there and to watch them play was just a sheer joy. I sat there with my hot dog. I got myself a hot dog, and then I got a pretzel with the beer cheese. And I sat there. Oh my gosh, I would totally go to a Blue Jays game. Although I had a dream I was in Montreal the other night. Quebec. Did you guys know I got banned from going to Canada for like 2 years? Yeah, I was in 10th grade, and my roommate was 18 and he could buy alcohol. And I didn't have anybody in my room I shouldn't have had. Let's start by saying that. But an attempt was made. And then I get, I don't know if the proper Canadian term is detained, but I got out of a window. Here I am jumping from tall places with half of my clothes on. And I'm on, I literally, it's such a funny story. So I jump out, and the French teacher, Maintenant je suis désolé. Qu'est-ce que tu fais, mademoiselle? Was getting the old double back. And she was really, I mean, I look like a hardened criminal. I had hair out to here, hair down to there, and I was living on a prayer. So I look like the punk, right? But I was a pretty good student. Now, National Honor Society, Brandon. But anyways, I digress. But I did okay. You know, forgive me for getting too many B's. Anyways. So I do the double back. I totally make her look like a fool. She starts knocking on doors, and sure enough, she gets her teacher's pet caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And her name was Gretchen. Anyways. So that whole thing blew the fuck up. And then all of a sudden, everybody wanted to blame everybody else, and they looked at me, and I'm detained, whatever that means. And then they asked me not to come back to the country. I am 16 years old with a rap sheet in Quebec City. It was glorious. It was glorious, right? And by the way, it was kind of like a shakedown. It was one of those things that were, kind of a high five to be like, hey, we're just going to scare you a little bit. We're going to send you back and don't come back here. They weren't very serious about it. Turning Stone, however, absolutely got kicked out of that fucking place. Anyways, yeah, I always go big. So anyways, the one that did get his hand caught in the cookie jar ended up being a deep dive of something much bigger, much more nefarious. And you remember 21 Jump Street? Do you remember when, Johnny Depp was like trying to act all cool with like shitty fake earrings and like, denim jackets with ripped sleeves and that sort of thing? And you're just like, there's the narc. We had that in our senior year. And this kid comes in February break. And he, actually it was in my junior year, but February break. And he's like ponying up to everybody. He's like, hey, how you doing? Hey, what are you up to? Hey, dude, what's going on? I'm on your bus. It was pretty awesome, dude. And that guy came in and he was peddling acid. And the Grateful Dead were coming to town. And by the way, I don't disparage people, and whatever's your DOC is your DOC. Have control of it, not have it control you. And the funny thing, the truly funny thing to the whole scenario was any person worth their weight would have known that this guy was an narc. He comes in halfway through. He's a senior. Oh yeah, my dad works for the military. What? And he just happens to have 20 hits of acid, 200 hits of acid on him, and he's peddling them. Ugh. I felt bad for him, but they blew the whole thing up. So I haven't been back to Canada since. Maybe it's time for me to come back. All right, guys, heart taps. I do hope Penny is okay. She is not far from that ocean down there. And there are some pretty... there's some pretty heady tsunami stuff going on in the Mediterranean right now. Let's hope that Penny's good. I know it's good. She's got to be good. Right? All right, guys, hard taps. I'm going to see you guys on Wednesday. You can still weigh in. Who do you want me to chart? We're going to do a card spread around this. We're going to have a good time. And by the way, if everything goes well, we'll have a guest speaker because that's how I roll. All right, guys, keep going. Talk to you soon.